Hey Zarko, how you doing?
Hello, Mitch. Great to see you. I'm fine.
I've been looking forward to this interview because it's very rare that I get to interview somebody who is a colleague, a friend, and a student. So it's a lot of fun for me. So this is basically a little talk so people can find out about who we are at Wisdom Path Press, and the only way they'll find out about what we do at Wisdom Path Press is to find out about the people behind the scenes. And so that's what we're doing today. We're going to find out about Zarko. Who is Zarko? So we're going to start early with that question exactly. Who is Zarko? Don't give me the resume version. Give me the real Zarko.
No, it's a tough question, you know. One that when you start meditating and going through all this, there is always this question pops up, you know? So how do I see myself or the roles that I play? One part of me is an engineer. I have always been. I didn't know that I was an engineer, but I always was. From earliest memories, when I remember when I was taking toys with little motors apart because I wanted to know how they work. And I could never assemble them back together. From those times until later when I started programming, when I started setting up systems, and even now, I like taking things apart to see how they work and what I can learn from it and how I can use them. That's one part of me. Another part of me is something that happened, it's going to be soon, some 20 years ago. I went to an internship to Brazil, and just as a programmer. When I came back, I wanted to give back to the organization that sent me there. I helped organize some conferences and so on, and I got involved, but it was just accident. I had no intention on working with people, but I got so dragged into it that, you know, at one point I said, okay, there are these people, not just computers. I want to work with people. I started learning about leadership, reading books. Personal development was the one of the most important things for my last 20 years. So one part is an engineer, the other part is human who wants to be human and wants to figure out how humans work and how to help them.
Your title is your head of operations. A lot of people don't know what that means. So give us a quick day-to-day, what does a head of operations do? Just so they get an idea of your role in this company.
Well, basically it's two things. Since we are a publishing company, one part is strictly taking care of the publishing, the whole process of where is each book, making sure that steps that need to be done are done, that books are edited, layout done, distributed on the right platforms, everything. That's one part. That's the thing that I already know now. It took us quite some time to figure out. But the other part is, as we are constantly evolving, we are constantly trying new things and figuring out. So is my role, trying to figure out which tools to use for what, for the coaching platform, for interviews like this, for everything else. So there is no fixed, this is day to day. For the publishing, that's because that part we already figured out. We settled the process. This is how the things should go.
I know about your history. I know a bit because we're friends. But the thing I think is fascinating is you're an engineer who's also a certified mindfulness trainer. You don't see that in a lot of people. There's sort of like two different worlds that you don't expect to collide. How did it collide with you? How did an engineer who's very science and process oriented come to the world of mindfulness to the point where you're a trainer?
Well, it was an accident. Like when I look back and this connecting the dots, like the Steve Jobs' video, when I look back, there are a lot of accidents, a lot of random things that brought me to where I am. I like science, and I randomly got a book called The Science of Enlightenment by Shinzen. And that got me to think about meditation in a different way. Not as something, some miracles, magic, some weird stuff, people in orange robes in mountains doing nothing, but something much more concrete, something that mindfulness in the end is how can I improve my brains. And that's very close to my engineering mind, to improve how I function. So that's how it happened. And when I found that book, it was a natural step, sequence of events, and that's what I want to do in the long run, to help as much people to start meditating.
Yeah, I get that because that book had a huge influence with me too. And I think Shinzen's an awesome person. There's so much about him, his teachings that I really love. But give me an example, like, what does mindfulness look like to you when you're in the middle of an operations issue, like a technical problem or a systems breakdown? Or how does mindfulness help you in those engineer side of your life?
But engineering and working with computers and programming, it's all full of surprises, full of bugs and critical issues and everything. And I was very stressed before. And this is one thing that helps me to stop, reset, and like recenter. And usually I start smiling. There's this peace inside. So everything is still collapsing. There's still fires to be extinguished, but the approach is different. My mind starts working differently, and I can find solutions faster, easier, and I'm not so stressed out.
But I've been waiting to ask you this question. If you had to explain mindfulness to a room full of engineers, how would you frame it?
There are many definitions of mindfulness. Wherever you look, it is a bit different. But the one that I like the most, at least, these are some fundamental skills. So, like how your brain works, how focused can you be, how well can you see things, understand your own thoughts, and everything that's going on around, not just being in panic mode and being all over the place, but bringing that focus back, that power, energy back, and putting it into constructive use. I'd say that's how I would say what mindfulness does for an engineer. The other thing is meditation. It's like a gym. It's an activity, how you get more mindfulness. And I know that's a big no-go word for many engineers. Meditation, it's something that weird people do. Just like you go to a gym, just so you can do something to train your brains. That's as simple as it.
What do most people not understand about what it takes to run a publishing operation like what you do? What do you think would shock them the most if when they see that that's part of what you do?
What I thought creating a book looks like before is you write something, you print, you put a cover in it, and book is done. That's how I saw it before. Now I know how many steps there are. Already the editing, already the making book, not just text, but text that has some power, that has some utility, that will influence the reader. So it's not just proofreading, that all the commas and dots are there, but that the text is structured so that it delivers the message it should deliver. So that's already the writing process itself is not what most people think. You write it and it's done. No, it's not done. That's where it starts. Then it's everything else, from graphical things that are put in the book, because not everyone will read the same. Maybe someone will need reminders what they read and how it's actually structured, and the layout, and all of these micro things like putting the ISBN code on the book. Something that no one knows, but it's a very important thing. And the cover, and the dimensions of the cover, and where to put the book, how to properly all of this metadata that should be there. There is so much stuff I didn't know, and most of the people don't.
You know, Wisdom Path Press is a disruptor in the publishing world. We do things differently. Our cooperative model, our fair share transparency model, all of these are very different than the way a lot of publishers act and do their business. Did that draw you to Wisdom Path? Is that something that made a difference to you on how we operate our model compared to others?
Well, sure. It's I think it's why we met in the first place, because we were both looking for a solution on how to empower people, coaches, teachers, everyone who has something to share, who has something to teach, how to empower those people to be able to reach more people, have more impact. So I think that's why we are not in it because we will get rich now. We started from what can we do to support this specific audience. I think that makes all the difference.
When in the Wisdom Path model, the idea that we're a micro publisher that cares more about the product and the idea behind the book, which seems to be a growing trend these days, how does that fit with your own worldview of empowering people through ideas? Tell us about that part.
Well, like the slogan, turning wisdom into words. So we look for wisdom, for something useful to turn into words, and when people read those words, they get the wisdom. Books, but there are two things that have shaped me the most, everything. In the last 20 years, since I have been trying to move more from working just with computers and working with people. And the number one is books. Books had the biggest influence for me, and I was reading books like by the bucket, piles and piles of books, trying to get all of this wisdom, this information out. It helped, but it's not the whole story. The other missing part, the one that I had problems with in the past, is finding a good coach, mentor. I found you. I'm very happy for that. You know? So having the wisdom is good, but also using it. That was the thing that was missing for me many times with the action. I don't know, did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. I have another a more fun question. Is there a moment since joining Wisdom Path Press that has stuck with you? Something that reminded you why this work matters, or something that helps guide you, or something that you tell friends over a beer or something? Is there a specific moment you could think of that sort of put things into focus since you've been at Wisdom Path?
Wisdom Path has done, I'm trying to do what I can do, but at the same time I'm also learning and growing a lot. And that has been the most not that I wanted it to be the most important thing, but it was most important thing, learning what does it take to run a company, how much do I need to grow so that I can do my job here, because my background is engineering. So there were times when I wanted to write an email to someone, and it took me a whole day of preparation, of thinking, of structuring, of what to how to put it there. And all of these moments added up some really powerful growth experience that was made out of 1,000 tiny pieces up to this point when I'm strong enough so that I can, go and do stuff. So I would not say that there was one particular moment, but there have been gazillion moments, daily.
Okay, that's a good answer. Is there something that you learned from our authors or from our catalog that genuinely stayed with you? That aha moment? Have you found that from our books or authors?
Well, I read almost all of our books. I read each in pieces before the publishing, the structure, and so on, part of quality assurance. But also after it's published, I go through each book as a reader. And I'm surprised at how much stuff there is that can be written. One guy asked me, but aren't all of the books already written? What new thing do you have to offer to the world? And I see it's not just these bestsellers, these huge Harry Potter style authors and so on, but there are so many authors that have genuinely something to say. And if you wouldn't be here, they wouldn't be able to say it. This surprised me that this book is good. It's not going to be a bestseller on something because it targets certain audience. That audience is not big enough, like fiction or whatever.
Right.
But we get to help these small audiences, and I'm still surprised, by all of the titles that are still also in production. How many people can we reach that otherwise wouldn't get the information?
That's beautiful. Personal question. If you could sit down, have a beer or dinner with any thinker